The stars looked different from this part of the galaxy. Yuna stood near the wide observation window of the diplomatic vessel Horizon and watched them pass by slowly. She had been in space for 3 months now. 3 months away from Earth. 3 months away from everything she knew. But she was not sad. She was excited. Yuna was 26 years old. She had dark hair that she kept in a simple ponytail, and she wore comfortable clothes most of the time. Today, she wore her favorite gray hoodie. It was old and soft and too big for her, but it felt like home. She was not a soldier. She was not a scientist. She was a cultural liaison. Her job was to help humans and aliens understand each other. It sounded simple, but it was not. Different species had different ways of thinking, different ways of feeling, different ways of living. Yuna's job was to find the things that connected them. The door behind her opened with a soft sound. Yuna turned around and saw Ambassador Tejo walking toward her. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been a diplomat for over 30 years. He had helped humans make friends with 12 different species. Now he was trying to make friends with the 13th. "You are up early," Tejo said. His voice was calm and gentle. "I could not sleep," Yuna replied. "I kept thinking about today." "I load," Tejo nodded. He understood. Today was an important day. Today they would meet the Velari for the first time. The Velari were a species from a cold planet called Velar Prime. Their world was covered in ice and snow. The temperature there was far below freezing. Most humans would die in minutes on that planet, but the Velari lived there happily. They had thick fur and strong bodies that could survive the cold. "What do we know about them?" Yuna asked. Tejo walked to stand beside her at the window. He looked out at the stars and spoke slowly. "Not much," he admitted. "They are small, about the size of a human child. They have fur, 4 legs, and long tails. Their eyes are large and golden. They are intelligent. They have technology. They have cities and ships and language. But they do not trust easily." Yuna listened carefully. She had read the reports, but hearing Tejo say it made it feel more real. "The Velari have met other species before," Tejo continued, "but those meetings did not go well. The Korathi tried to trade with them and cheated them. The Maldron tried to take their resources by force. The Velari learned that large species are dangerous. They learned to be afraid. And humans are large," Yuna said quietly. "Yes," Tejo agreed. "To them, we are giants. They will look at us and see danger. They will look at us and feel fear. Our job is to show them that we are different, that we can be trusted." Yuna thought about this. It was a big responsibility. The Velari had been hurt before. They had learned to protect themselves by staying away from others. Breaking through that fear would not be easy. "How do we do it?" she asked. Tejo smiled. It was a small smile, but it was warm. "We are patient," he said. "We are kind. We do not push. We do not force. We simply show them who we are. And we hope that they see something good." The ship's computer spoke then. Its voice was calm and clear. "Approaching Velari Diplomatic Station. Arrival in 2 hours." Yuna took a deep breath. 2 hours. In 2 hours, she would meet an alien species for the first time. She would look into their golden eyes and try to show them that humans were not monsters. She would try to be a bridge between 2 worlds. "I should get ready," she said. Tejo nodded. "Remember, Yuna, do not try too hard. Do not smile too much. The Velari see smiles as a threat. They think we are showing our teeth." Yuna touched her face without thinking. She had not known that. There were so many small things to remember. So many ways to make a mistake. "Just be calm," Tejo said. "Be quiet. Be gentle. Let them come to you." Yuna nodded. She would try. 2 hours later, the Horizon docked at the Velari Diplomatic Station. The station was beautiful in a strange way. It was made of pale blue metal that looked like ice. The lights inside were soft and dim. The air was cold, not freezing, but cold enough to make Yuna glad she wore her hoodie. The human team was small. Just Yuna, Taeho, and two guards named Jiho and Minho. The guards wore formal uniforms, but they had no weapons. Bringing weapons would send the wrong message. They walked through the cold hallways of the station. Their footsteps echoed on the metal floor. Yuna tried to stay calm, but her heart was beating fast. Finally, they reached a large room. And there, for the first time, Yuna saw the Valari. They were beautiful. They were small, just as Taeho had said. The largest one was only as tall as Yuna's waist. They had soft fur in shades of white and gray and pale blue. Their eyes were huge and golden, like pools of honey. Their ears were pointed and turned toward every sound. Their tails were long and fluffy, and moved with every emotion. There were about 20 Valari in the room. Most of them stood near the back, watching the humans with wide, nervous eyes. But 3 of them stood in the front. These were the leaders. The one in the middle was older. Her fur was pale gray, almost silver. Her eyes were wise and careful. She wore a small collar of blue crystals around her neck. This was Elder Sola, the leader of the Valari delegation. Beside her stood 2 younger Valari. They were advisors, Yuna guessed. They watched the humans with fear in their eyes, but Yuna noticed something else. In the back of the room, hiding behind the legs of the adults, were smaller Valari, cubs, children. They were tiny, the size of small cats. Their fur was fluffy and soft. Their eyes were even bigger than the adults' eyes. And those eyes were watching Yuna with something more than fear. They were curious. Yuna felt her heart warm. Children were the same everywhere, she thought. Even across the stars. Even in a species that feared humans. The children still wanted to know more. Elder Sola stepped forward. Her voice was soft and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The translator device on Yuna's belt turned her words into English. "Welcome, humans," the elder said. "We thank you for coming. We hope this meeting will bring understanding between our peoples." Taeho bowed his head slightly. "Thank you for receiving us, Elder Sola. We come in peace and friendship. We hope to learn about your people and share knowledge of ours." The elder nodded, but her eyes were still careful. She did not trust them. "Not yet. You may stay on this station for 1 week," she said. "During this time, you will meet with our council. You will answer our questions. And we will decide if your people are worthy of our friendship." It was a test, Yuna realized. The Valari were testing them. They wanted to see if humans were truly different from the others who had hurt them. Yuna looked at the cubs hiding in the back of the room. One of them, a tiny thing with white fur and pale blue eyes, was staring at her. Their eyes met for just a moment. Then the cub ducked behind an adult and disappeared. Yuna smiled, but only on the inside. She remembered what Taeho had said about smiles. She kept her face calm and quiet, but in her heart, she made a promise. She would show these beings that humans were good. She would earn their trust, no matter how long it took. The assignment had begun. 3 days passed on the Valari station. 3 long, cold, difficult days. Yuna had tried everything she could think of. She attended every meeting. She answered every question the council asked. She was patient and kind and gentle. She did not smile. She did not make sudden movements. She spoke softly and moved slowly. But the Valari still kept their distance. It was not just fear, Yuna realized. It was something else, something physical. The Valari seemed uncomfortable around humans in a way that went beyond simple distrust. On the morning of the 4th day, Yuna finally understood why. She was walking through one of the station's common areas when she passed a group of young Valari. They were about the size of small dogs. Not quite adults, but not cubs either. They were sitting in a circle, talking quietly among themselves. When Yuna walked by, they all moved away. They pressed themselves against the far wall and watched her with wide eyes. But it was not just fear in their eyes. It was something else. Discomfort. Almost pain. Yuna stopped walking. She stood very still and watched them. One of the young Valari, braver than the others, spoke to her. The translator turned the words into English. "You are too hot," the young one said. Yuna blinked. She did not understand at first. Then, slowly, she realized what the young Valari meant. Humans were warm-blooded creatures. Their bodies made heat. On Earth, this was normal. On a cold planet like Valar Prime, it was almost dangerous. The Valari came from a world of ice. Their bodies were used to the cold. They could feel heat from far away. And to them, the warmth of a human body was uncomfortable, maybe even painful. Yuna was not just a giant to them, she was a giant made of fire. "I am sorry," Yuna said softly. "I did not know." The young Valari relaxed a little. They seemed surprised that she apologized. Maybe other species had never said sorry for making them uncomfortable. "It is not your fault," another young one said. "It is how you are made. But it is hard for us to be near you. The heat makes our fur feel strange. It makes our skin itch. It makes us want to run away." Yuna nodded slowly. She understood now. This was why the Valari kept their distance. This was why they would not come close. It was not just fear of large creatures. It was fear of heat. She walked back to the human quarters with a heavy heart. She found Tejo in his room, reading reports on a tablet. "I know why they will not come near us," Yuna said. Tejo looked up. His eyes were curious. "They feel our body heat," Yuna explained. "To them, we are burning. We are too hot. Being near us is like standing next to a fire. It hurts them." Tejo put down his tablet. He was quiet for a long moment. "I did not think of that," he admitted. "The reports said their planet was cold, but I did not connect it to our body temperature." "What do we do?" Yuna asked. "How can we build trust if they cannot even stand to be near us?" Tejo shook his head slowly. "I do not know. We cannot change our bodies. We cannot stop making heat. This may be a problem we cannot solve." Yuna refused to accept that. There had to be a way. There was always a way. She spent the rest of the day thinking. She walked through the cold halls of the station. She sat in quiet corners and watched the Valari from far away. She noticed things she had not noticed before. The adult Valari were careful and controlled. They kept their feelings hidden. They moved with purpose and spoke with caution. But the cubs were different. The cubs were curious. Yuna saw them watching her from behind doors and around corners. Their big golden eyes followed her everywhere she went. When she stopped walking, they stopped too. When she moved, they moved to keep watching her. They were afraid of her, yes. But they were also fascinated by her. They had never seen a creature like her before. A creature so big, and so warm, and so strange. One cub in particular seemed more curious than the others. It was the same one Yuna had seen on the first day. A tiny thing with white fur and pale blue eyes. It followed Yuna more closely than the others. It watched her more carefully. Yuna started to think of this cub as the brave one. On the fifth day, something small but important happened. Yuna was sitting alone in the observation room. The room had a large window that looked out at the stars. The lights were dim. The air was cold. Yuna wore her gray hoodie with the hood pulled up over her head. She was reading a book on her tablet. It was a story from Earth. A simple story about a girl and her dog. Yuna liked simple stories. They reminded her of home. She heard a small sound behind her, a soft scratching noise, like tiny claws on metal. Yuna did not turn around. She did not move. She remembered what Tejo had said. "Let them come to you. Do not force it." The scratching sound came closer. Closer. Then it stopped. Yuna waited. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her body still. Minutes passed. Then, she heard another sound. A soft, chirping. Like a bird, but not quite. It was a Valari sound. Very slowly, Yuna turned her head. Just a little. Just enough to see. The brave cub was there. It was standing about 10 feet away from her. Its pale blue eyes were wide. Its tiny body was tense, ready to run. but it was closer than any Valari had ever been to her before. Yuna did not move. She did not speak. She just looked at the cub with soft eyes. The cub chirped again. It was a question, Yuna thought. The cub was asking something, but her translator could not pick up the meaning. Maybe it was too quiet. Or maybe cubs spoke differently than adults. Hello, Yuna said softly. Her voice was barely a whisper. The cub's ears went straight up. It took a step back, but it did not run away. I will not hurt you, Yuna continued. I know I am big. I know I am warm. But I am not dangerous. I promise. The cub tilted its head. Its tail moved slowly from side to side. It was thinking. Then, very slowly, it took one step forward. Just one step. But it was a step toward Yuna, not away. Yuna felt tears in her eyes. She did not let them fall. She kept her face calm. But inside, she was full of hope. The cub stood there for a long moment. Then it made a soft sound and turned around. It ran away on its 4 tiny legs, disappearing around a corner. But it had come close. It had taken a step toward her. That was something. That was a beginning. Yuna smiled to herself. She did not care about the rule about smiling. There was no one there to see. That night, she told Tejo what had happened. A cub came close to me, she said. It was scared, but it was curious too. It took a step toward me. Tejo's eyes lit up with hope. The cubs, he said slowly. Of course. The cubs have not learned to fear as deeply as the adults. They have not been hurt by other species. They are still open to new things. But they still feel the heat, Yuna said. They still feel uncomfortable near me. Yes. Tejo agreed. But maybe discomfort is not the same as fear. Maybe curiosity is stronger than discomfort. Yuna thought about this. It made sense. Children were always braver than adults in some ways. They had not yet learned all the reasons to be afraid. What should I do? Yuna asked. Tejo smiled. Keep doing what you are doing. Be patient. Be gentle. Let them come to you. The cubs may be the key to reaching the adults. If the cubs learn to trust you, the adults may follow. Yuna nodded. It was a good plan. It was a slow plan. But it was a plan. She went to sleep that night thinking about the brave cub with the pale blue eyes. She wondered what its name was. She wondered what it thought about her. She wondered if it would come back. She hoped it would. The cold of the station did not bother her anymore. She had her hoodie. She had hope. And somewhere on this station, there was a tiny creature who had taken one small step toward trusting a human. That was enough for now. The 6th day on the station was quiet. The council meetings continued. But they were slow and careful. The Valari asked many questions about Earth. They wanted to know about human history, about human wars, about human mistakes. Yuna answered honestly. She did not hide the bad things humans had done. She told them about the wars, about the times humans had hurt each other, about the times humans had made terrible choices. The Valari listened. They did not seem surprised. Perhaps they expected humans to be as bad as other large species. Perhaps they were waiting for proof that humans were dangerous. But Yuna also told them about the good things. She told them about people who helped each other, about communities that worked together, about the way humans took care of their children and their elders, about the love humans felt for their families and friends. Elder Sola listened to all of this with careful eyes. She did not show what she was thinking. Her face was calm and still like frozen water. When the meeting ended, Yuna felt tired. Not just in her body, but in her heart. It was hard work, trying to change the way an entire species saw humans. It was slow and difficult, and sometimes it felt impossible. She went to the observation room. It had become her favorite place on the station. The view of the stars was beautiful. The room was quiet. And the brave cub sometimes appeared there. Yuna sat in her usual spot near the window. She wore her gray hoodie as always. The hood was down today. Her dark hair fell loose around her shoulders. She pulled her knees up to her chest and wrapped her arms around them. She missed Earth. She missed the warmth of the sun on her face. She missed the sound of rain on her window. She missed her mother's cooking and her father's laugh. She missed her little brother who always stole her food. Being far from home was hard. Being far from home and failing was harder. She did not know how long she sat there, lost in thought. But then, she heard it. The soft, scratching sound of tiny claws on metal. Yuna did not move. She barely breathed. She waited. The sound came closer, closer. This time, it did not stop 10 feet away. It kept coming. Then Yuna felt something. A tiny tap on her back, like a small finger poking her through her hoodie. She held perfectly still. Her heart was racing, but she did not move. Another tap, then another, then a soft chirping sound. Close, very close, slowly, very slowly. Yuna turned her head. The brave cub was there. It was standing right behind her. Its pale blue eyes were wide and bright. But there was something else in those eyes now. Not just curiosity. Something warmer, something like trust. And the brave cub was not alone. 2 more cubs stood behind it. They were smaller than the brave one. Their fur was different colors. One was pale gray with white spots. The other was pure white like fresh snow. They looked younger, more nervous, but they were there. Yuna's breath caught in her throat. "Hello," she whispered. The brave cub chirped. This time, the translator picked up the sound. It turned the chirp into words. "You are warm," the cub said. Its voice was high and soft like a tiny bell. "Yes," Yuna said. "I am sorry if it is uncomfortable." The cub tilted its head. "It is strange. Not bad. Just strange." Yuna felt a smile trying to form on her face. She held it back. "My name is Yuna," she said. "What is your name?" The cub hesitated. Telling names was important to the Valari. It was a sign of trust. Yuna waited patiently. "I am Lyra," the cub finally said. "Lyra." The name was beautiful. It sounded like a song. "These are my friends," Lyra continued. "This is Dami." She pointed her tail at the gray cub with white spots. "And this is Hana." She pointed at the pure white cub. "Hello, Dami." "Hello, Hana," Yuna said softly. The 2 smaller cubs chirped nervously but did not run away. Lyra took another step closer. She was now close enough to touch Yuna's hoodie. Her tiny nose twitched. She was smelling Yuna's scent. "You smell different," Lyra said. "Like something burning. But also like something sweet." Yuna did not know what to say. She had never thought about how she smelled to other species. "Is it a bad smell?" she asked. Lyra thought about it. "No. It is just different. Everything about you is different." The 3 cubs stood there, looking at Yuna. They were so close now. Closer than any Valari had ever been. Yuna could see every detail of their tiny faces. The way their fur moved with their breathing. The way their ears turned to catch every sound. The way their tails moved with their emotions. They were beautiful, they were precious, and they were trusting her. "Can I ask you something?" Lyra said. "Yes," Yuna replied. "Why are you here? Why did you come to our station?" It was a simple question, but it had a complicated answer. Yuna thought carefully before speaking. "We came because we want to be friends," she said. "Humans are lonely in the stars. There are so many species out there, but we do not know many of them. We want to learn about others. We want to share what we know. We want to have friends." Lyra's ears went back slightly. Other big species said they wanted to be friends. They lied. They hurt us. "I know," Yuna said. "And I am sorry that happened to you. Not all big species are the same. Just like not all small species are the same. Humans can be good or bad, just like anyone else. But I promise you, Lyra, I did not come here to hurt anyone. I came here to help." Lyra looked at Yuna for a long moment. Her pale blue eyes were serious. She was thinking hard. Then, slowly, she stepped even closer. She reached out one tiny paw and touched Yuna's hoodie. "This is soft," she said. Yuna held her breath. Lyra touched the fabric again. She rubbed her paw against it. Her eyes got wide. "Very soft," she said. "Like the best fur." Behind her, Dami and Hana chirped with curiosity. They moved closer too. Soon, all three cubs were touching Yuna's hoodie, feeling the soft fabric with their tiny paws. "It is warm," Dami said. "But the warm is inside. The outside is soft." Yuna understood. The hoodie was thick. It trapped her body heat inside. The outside of the fabric was not as hot as her skin would be. The cubs could touch it without feeling the full heat of her body. "You can sit near me if you want," Yuna said softly. "The hoodie will keep my heat inside. It will not burn you." The three cubs looked at each other. They had a silent conversation with their eyes and tails. Then Lyra turned back to Yuna. "We are tired," she said. "We have been watching you for many days." "Watching is hard work." Yuna almost laughed. She held it in. "Do you want to rest?" she asked. Lyra nodded. Then she did something that made Yuna's heart nearly stop. She climbed onto Yuna's back. Her tiny claws gripped the fabric of the hoodie. Her small body moved up, up, up. She climbed like Yuna was a mountain. A warm, soft, gray mountain. Dami and Hana followed. They scrambled up the sides of the hoodie, their little claws holding tight. They were climbing Yuna like she was a tree. Yuna stayed perfectly still. She barely breathed. She could not believe this was happening. The cubs reached her shoulders. They moved around to the back of her neck. They found the hood of her hoodie, which hung down her back like a small hammock, and they climbed inside. Yuna felt them settle into the hood. Three tiny bodies, curled up together. They were using her hood as a bed. They were using her as a nest. A soft purring sound filled the air. The cubs were purring. It was a gentle sound, like a quiet song. A happy sound. A safe sound. Yuna sat very still. Tears rolled down her face. She did not try to stop them. The cubs had chosen her. They had climbed her hoodie and asked for a nap spot. They had decided to trust her. She did not move for a long time. She listened to the cubs purr. She felt their tiny bodies breathe. She watched the stars through the window. And she knew, without any doubt, that something wonderful had just begun. The cubs slept in Yuna's hood for 2 hours. Yuna did not move once during that time. Her legs got stiff. Her back got sore. But she did not care. She would have sat there forever if the cubs needed her to. She could feel them breathing. 3 tiny chests rising and falling together. Their purring had faded into soft, peaceful silence. They were deep asleep. They felt safe. Yuna had never felt so honored in her entire life. Eventually, the cubs began to stir. She heard small sounds. Tiny yawns. The rustle of fur against fabric. Then, she felt them moving. Climbing out of her hood, Lyra was the first to appear. She walked along Yuna's shoulder and stopped near her cheek. Her pale blue eyes looked right into Yuna's eyes. "Thank you," Lyra said. Her voice was soft and sleepy. "That was the best nap." "You are welcome," Yuna whispered. "You can come back anytime." Lyra's tail swished happily. Dami and Hana appeared behind her, also looking sleepy and content. Their fur was slightly messy from sleep. They looked adorable. "We have to go now," Lyra said. "The elders will wonder where we are." Yuna nodded. She understood. The cubs could not stay with her forever. They had their own lives, their own families. "Will you come back?" Yuna asked. Lyra looked at her friends. They chirped quietly among themselves. Then Lyra turned back to Yuna. "Yes," she said. "We will come back." The cubs climbed down from Yuna's shoulders. Their tiny claws made soft sounds on her hoodie. They reached the floor and looked back at her one more time. Then, they ran away, their fluffy tails bouncing behind them. Yuna sat alone in the observation room. She was still crying. But these were happy tears. The happiest tears she had ever cried. The next morning, Yuna told Tejo what had happened. She showed him the tiny claw marks on her hoodie where the cubs had climbed. Tejo looked at the marks like they were made of gold. "This is remarkable," he said. His voice was full of wonder. Valari cubs choosing to sleep near a human. This has never happened before. With any species. They were curious, Yuna said. And the hoodie helped. It kept my heat from reaching them directly. Tejo nodded slowly. He was thinking hard. "We need to tell the council," he said. "But carefully. We do not want to make the adults feel that we manipulated their children." Yuna agreed. It was a delicate situation. The adults might be angry that their cubs had come so close to a human. They might think Yuna had tricked them somehow, but before they could decide what to do, something happened. The door to the human quarters opened. A Valari adult stood in the doorway. It was one of Elder Sola's advisors. His fur was dark, gray, almost black. His eyes were sharp and serious. "The human called Yuna," he said. "Elder Sola wishes to see you." Now, Yuna felt her stomach drop. This could be good or bad. She did not know which. She followed the advisor through the cold hallways of the station. Jiho walked behind her, just in case. They reached a large room that Yuna had not seen before. It was warmer than the other rooms. The floor was covered with soft cushions. This was a private space. Elder Sola sat in the center of the room. Around her sat about a dozen adult Valari. They all looked at Yuna with careful eyes. And in the corner of the room, Yuna saw them. Lyra, Dami, and Hana. They were sitting with other cubs. They looked nervous. Elder Sola spoke. Her voice was calm, but there was something underneath it. Something Yuna could not quite name. "Human Yuna," the elder said. "The cubs have told us what happened yesterday. They say they slept in your clothing. Is this true?" Yuna swallowed hard. "Yes, Elder Sola. It is true." The room was very quiet. Every Valari was watching her. "Tell me exactly what happened," Elder Sola said. Yuna took a deep breath. She told the story from the beginning. How she had been sitting alone. How the cubs had approached her. How they had touched her hoodie and found it soft. How they had asked to rest. How she had stayed perfectly still while they slept. She did not leave anything out. She did not try to make herself look better. She just told the truth. When she finished, Elder Sola was quiet for a long moment. Her golden eyes studied Yuna's face. "The cubs say you did not move for 2 hours," the elder said. "That is correct," Yuna replied. "You did not touch them. You did not pick them up. You did not trap them. No, I would never do that. They say you cried. Why did you cry?" Yuna felt her eyes getting wet again just thinking about it. "Because I was honored," she said. "Because they trusted me. Because they are small and precious, and they chose to feel safe with me. It was the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me." Elder Sola's ears moved slightly. It was a small movement. But Yuna had learned to read Valari body language. The elder was surprised. "You felt honored?" Elder Sola asked. "A giant felt honored by the trust of small creatures?" "Yes," Yuna said firmly. "Very honored. Cubs are special. In human culture, children are the most important members of our families. We protect them. We care for them. We would give our lives for them. When your cubs trusted me, it meant more to me than any treaty or agreement ever could." The room was silent. The adult Valari looked at each other with uncertain eyes. This was not what they expected. Elder Sola stood up slowly. She walked toward Yuna. Her steps were careful and measured. She stopped about 5 feet away. The closest any adult Valari had ever been to Yuna. "Our cubs are everything to us," the elder said. "They are the future of our people. We protect them with our lives. When we heard that they had been near a human, we were afraid. We thought perhaps you had captured them. Perhaps you had tricked them." "I would never," Yuna said. "I believe you," Elder Sola replied. Yuna blinked. She was not sure she had heard correctly. "You believe me?" Elder Sola nodded slowly. "I have watched you for 7 days, human Yuna. I have seen how you move. how you speak, how you wait. You are patient. You are gentle. You do not try to force. You do not push. She paused, her golden eyes meeting Yuna's. And now I have seen something else. Our cubs chose you. Cubs cannot be tricked. They know who is safe and who is not. They feel it in their bones. If they chose to sleep near you, it is because they knew you would not harm them. Yuna felt tears falling down her cheeks again. She did not try to hide them. "May I speak?" came a small voice. Everyone turned. Lyra had stood up. The tiny cub walked forward, her pale blue eyes bright and serious. "Elder Sola," Lyra said. "Yuna is warm. But her warm is not scary. It is like a fire in the cold. It is like the sun on ice. It is good. Warm." She walked a little closer to Yuna. The adults watched nervously. "Her hoodie is soft," Lyra continued. "And her heart is softer. She did not move for 2 hours. She did not want to scare us. She put us first." Lyra looked up at Yuna with pure love in her eyes. "Humans are not like the others," the little cub said. "Humans are good." Elder Sola looked at Lyra for a long moment. Then she looked at the other cubs. They were all nodding. They all agreed. The elder took a deep breath. "Human Yuna," she said. "I have a request." "Yes?" Yuna whispered. "The cubs wish to visit you again. They wish to sleep in your hood again. Will you allow this?" Yuna's heart nearly burst with joy. "Yes," she said. "Yes. Always yes. They can come whenever they want. I will always keep them safe." Elder Sola nodded. For the first time, Yuna saw something in the elder's eyes that had not been there before. Trust. "Then it is agreed," Elder Sola said. "The cubs may visit the human Yuna. And perhaps, in time, the adults will learn to trust as the children do." Lyra ran forward and climbed up Yuna's leg, her tiny claws gripping the fabric of Yuna's pants. She scrambled up to Yuna's shoulder and pressed her small face against Yuna's cheek. Yuna laughed. It was a sound of pure happiness. The other cubs followed. Dami and Hana climbed up too. Soon Yuna was covered in fluffy little bodies, all purring, all happy. The adults watched with wide eyes. Some of them looked scared, but some of them looked curious. And a few of them looked like they were starting to understand. Humans were not monsters. Humans were not enemies. Humans were warm. And sometimes, warm was exactly what you needed. The last day of the human visit arrived too quickly. Yuna stood in the observation room, watching the stars. She had spent so many hours in this room over the past week. It had become her special place. The place where everything had changed. Her hoodie was warm against her skin. 3 small lumps moved inside the hood on her back. Lyra, Dami, and Hana were taking their morning nap. They had done this every day since that first time. It had become their routine. The cubs would find Yuna in the morning. They would climb her hoodie with their tiny claws. They would settle into her hood like it was a nest made just for them, and they would sleep while Yuna sat quietly, watching the stars. Yuna had never been so happy and so sad at the same time. Today she would have to leave. Today she would have to say goodbye. The door behind her opened. Tejo walked in. His eyes went to the moving lumps in her hood, and he smiled. "The council is ready," he said. Yuna nodded. Today was the final meeting. Today the Valari would decide if humans were worthy of their friendship. Today, everything would be decided. "I need to wake them," Yuna said softly. "Wait," Tejo said. "Bring them with you." Yuna looked at him with surprise. "To the council meeting?" "Yes. Let the elders see. Let them see what you have become to these children. Let them see with their own eyes." Yuna thought about this. It was a risk. The elders might be angry that she brought cubs to a formal meeting. But it was also an opportunity. A chance to show them something real. "Okay," she said. They walked through the cold hallways of the station. Yuna moved carefully, trying not to wake the cubs. But they stirred anyway. By the time she reached the council room, 3 tiny heads were poking out of her hood, looking around with sleepy eyes. The council room was full. Every important Valari was there. Elder Sola sat in the center, her silver fur gleaming in the soft light. Around her sat her advisors and the leaders of different Valari communities. Tejo stepped forward first. He spoke formally, thanking the Valari for their hospitality. He spoke of the meetings they had attended. He spoke of the questions they had answered. He spoke of the hope for friendship between their peoples. The Valari listened politely. Their faces showed nothing. Then Elder Sola raised a paw. Tejo stopped speaking. "We have heard your words," the elder said. "We have listened to your answers. We have watched your people for 7 days." She paused. The room was perfectly silent. "In the past, we have met other species. They came with words of peace. They came with promises of friendship. But their actions did not match their words. They took from us. They hurt us. They left us with scars that have not healed." Yuna felt the cubs move in her hood. They were awake now. They were listening. "We expected humans to be the same," Elder Sola continued. "We expected lies. We expected tricks. We expected danger." She looked directly at Yuna. "But then our cubs did something unexpected. They chose to trust a human. They climbed her clothing and slept in her hood. They gave her their complete trust." Murmurs filled the room. The Valari were talking quietly among themselves. "Cubs cannot be fooled," Elder Sola said. "They do not understand politics or diplomacy. They only understand feelings. They only know who is safe and who is not." She stood up slowly. "Our cubs have decided that this human is safe, and I have learned to trust our cubs." Lyra scrambled out of Yuna's hood. She climbed up to Yuna's shoulder and stood there proudly, looking at the assembled Valari. "Elder Sola," the little cub said. Her voice was small but clear. "Yuna is good. She is warm and soft and safe. She stayed still for 2 hours so we could sleep. She never scared us. She never hurt us. She protected us." Dami and Hana climbed out too. They stood on Yuna's other shoulder. "Humans are different," Dami said. "They are big but gentle. They make heat," Hana added. "But good heat, like the sun on our fur when we are cold." Elder Sola looked at the 3 cubs standing on the human's shoulders. She looked at the way they pressed against Yuna's neck without fear. She looked at the way Yuna's hands stayed still at her sides, never grabbing, never trapping. The elder walked forward. Step by step, she came closer to Yuna than any adult Valari ever had. She stopped just 3 feet away. "Human Yuna," she said, "tell me honestly, what do you feel for our cubs?" Yuna felt her heart fill with emotion. She answered without hesitation. "I love them," she said. "I know that sounds strange. I have only known them for a few days. But I love them. I would protect them with my life. I would never let anything hurt them. When they sleep in my hood, I feel like I have been given the greatest gift in the universe." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She did not try to hide them. "On my world," she continued, "we believe that the measure of a person is how they treat those who are smaller and weaker than themselves. We believe in protecting the innocent. We believe in gentleness and kindness and love. These are the values that humans try to live by. We do not always succeed. We make mistakes, but we try." She looked at Elder Sola with open, honest eyes. "I cannot promise that every human is good," Yuna said. "But I can promise you this. The humans who come to your world, the humans who seek your friendship, will be the ones who share these values. We will send our best. We will send people who will protect your cubs as fiercely as I would." Elder Sola was quiet for a long moment. Her golden eyes studied Yuna's face. Then, slowly, the elder reached out. Her small paw touched Yuna's hand. Yuna gasped. The elder's touch was cool and soft, like touching snow, but alive. "Your words are true," Elder Sola said. "I can feel it in your heart. You love our children. You would protect them." She looked at the other elders. "This is not what I expected to find when the humans came," she said. "I expected danger. I found gentleness. I expected lies. I found truth. I expected cold hearts. I found warmth. She turned back to Yuna. Human Yuna, the Valari have decided. We will accept your people's friendship. We will open our world to humans. Not because of your words or your promises, but because of you. Because of what you have shown us. Yuna could not speak. She was crying too hard. The cubs on her shoulders pressed against her cheeks, chirping softly. Trying to comfort her, Tejo stepped forward, his own eyes wet. Thank you, Elder Sola, he said. This means more than you know. Elder Sola nodded. Then she did something surprising. She looked up at Yuna and spoke. You must return someday, human Yuna. Our cubs will miss you. And I suspect you will miss them too. I will, Yuna promised. I will come back. I swear it. Lyra pressed her face against Yuna's cheek. You are my human now, the little cub said. You belong to me. Yuna laughed through her tears. Yes, I am your human. Forever. 1 hour later, Yuna stood at the docking port. The Horizon was ready to leave. The human team was preparing to board. A crowd of Valari had gathered to say goodbye. Cubs and adults together. They watched the humans with different eyes now. Not fear, not distrust. Something new. Hope. Yuna knelt down. Lyra, Dami, and Hana ran to her. They climbed her legs, her arms, her shoulders. They covered her with their tiny bodies. They purred and chirped and pressed against her. I do not want you to go, Lyra said. I know, Yuna replied. I do not want to go either. But I have to. There is work to do. Treaties to sign. Plans to make. But I promise you, Lyra, I will come back. When? As soon as I can. And when I come back, I will bring my hoodie. You can nap in it again. Lyra's tail swished happily. Promise? I promise. The cubs climbed down slowly. They stood in front of Yuna, looking up at her with their big golden eyes. Goodbye, Yuna, they said together. Goodbye, my little ones. Yuna stood up. She walked toward the horizon. At the door, she turned back one last time. The Valari were watching her. Elder Sola stood in front, with Lyra by her side. The elder raised one paw. It was a Valari goodbye. A gesture of respect. Yuna raised her hand in return. Then she stepped onto the ship. As the horizon pulled away from the station, Yuna sat by the window. She watched the Valari station grow smaller and smaller until it disappeared among the stars. Tejo sat down beside her. You did something incredible, he said. You built a bridge between two worlds. Not with words or treaties. With love. Yuna smiled, touching her hoodie. There were still tiny claw marks in the fabric. She would never repair them. They were precious. The bridge was built by 3 small cubs, she said. I just sat still and let them climb. Tejo laughed. Sometimes that is all it takes. Sometimes the biggest things come from the smallest beginnings. Yuna nodded. She looked out at the stars, thinking of Lyra, Dami, and Hana. Thinking of their fluffy tails and golden eyes. Thinking of the way they purred when they felt safe. She would see them again, she had promised. And Yuna always kept her promises. The stars stretched out before her, bright and infinite. Somewhere out there, on a cold station orbiting a frozen world, 3 little cubs were probably looking for a warm place to nap, and they would always have a spot in her hood whenever she returned. Humans were warm. And sometimes, warmth was the best gift you could give. The bridge between 2 worlds had been built. Not with treaties or technology, but with trust and love and a comfortable gray hoodie. It was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything.